May it please the court. It is a privilege and a pleasure for me to speak at the retirement ceremony of my friend Henry W. Height Jr. I've known Chip Height for 65 years. And before I go any further, I'm going to tell you how we met. But I want you to know that this is my story and I'm sticking to it. I met Chip Height standing in the inoculation line when we were to be inoculated and vaccinated for smallpox as we were beginning to enter school. We were going to West End Elementary School, and I was standing there, and after I'd been introduced to Chip, I asked him, I said, "Are you looking forward to entering school?" He said, "Yeah. I live right across the school. I've watched people go to this school all my life. I want to learn. I want to learn a lot." I said, "Well, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And he said, "I'd like to be the senior resident Superior Court judge. And I'd like to serve 34 years. And then he said, "What would you like to be?" And I said, "Well, on Saturday nights, my daddy and I watch Perry Mason. And I've gotten to where I like that show a lot. It looks like a pretty good deal to be a lawyer. Perry Mason seems to live well. He drives a black Thunderbird convertible. He seemed to have plenty of money. He hung out with pretty girls. At the end, somebody would jump up and say, I did it, he made me do it. I'm guilty, take me away." The only time that ever happened to me was when my client stood up. I did that in 1992. Well, Chip and I entered the first grade together, and what I remember most about the first grade is our first grade teacher got engaged in October, and that's about all we learned the rest of that year. We were promoted to the second grade because we became interested in how people get married, I guess. In the second grade, we were split up, and Chip remained at West End, and I went to E.M. Rollins. We were reunited in the seventh grade. We were both in the band, so our class was all together for those of us who were in the band. And then in the eighth grade, we were in the band, so we still were united. Now, at this particular time, I'd like to tell Wes Height that your daddy became a composer-lyricist in the eighth grade. We had a teacher who in those days would have been called a spinster. She was 65, she'd never married, she was a little eccentric, but she was a nice lady. Her favorite word was perturb. Not many people use that word, and certainly when we got to the eighth grade, none of us had ever heard it. In 1961, when we were in the eighth grade, the #1 song in America was by Jimmy Dean. It was called Big Bad John. And in that particular year, the first verse of that song was this: "Every morning at the mine, you could see him arrive. He stood 6'6", face 245, kind of broad at the shoulder, narrow at the hip. And everybody knew you didn't give no lip to Big John." Well, Chip came in one day. He decided that he had written a song about our teacher. And he wanted us to know the lyrics to that verse. Wes? And this was the lyrics that he came up with, and this is absolutely true. Every morning at the school, you could see her arrive. She stood 5'4" and weighed 345. Kind of broad at the shoulder and broader at the hip, and everybody knew you didn't get no lip, the big perturbo. Chip left us in the ninth grade, and we all missed him a great deal. He wound up going to Carolina, graduated in 1971 from Carolina. He graduated from its law school in 1974, and then he came back to Henderson. And shortly after he came back to Henderson, he became the county attorney. And I want to say to you that he did a terrific job. He was thorough, he was studious, he was hardworking, he was always diligent, and always sought a responsible resolution to whatever his representation of the county required. During that time, he began seeing Barbara Malloy, and they fell in love. 1979 was a pivotal year for Chip. he merged his practice to form the law firm of Height, Fleming, Height, and Faulkner. And he married Barbara Malloy. Things were good. It got better in 1982 when Austin came along, and then later when Wes came along. In 1984, the General Assembly created a new Superior Court judgeship for the 9th Judicial District. And Chip decided to seek that position. Those of us here in Vance County who were practicing law unanimously endorsed his petition and thought he would make a terrific judge. Governor Hunt appointed him to that vacant position, and he was sworn in on December the 4th by Judge Hobgood at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning. I was there to see my old friend Chip Height be sworn in, and I knew that he was fulfilling his wish from the first grade. He became a terrific judge. He traveled a lot. At that time, the division, the judicial division, ran from Virginia to South Carolina, and he was gone an awful lot. I've been told by Ms. Height at this particular time that I need to point out to you that she had to practically raise their children by herself, build a house, and do everything relating to the family. And that she should be honored with this as much as Chip should. In any event, the division changed, and about 1991 he didn't have to travel quite as much. I want to talk to you just a minute about their children, because their children in our house are much beloved. We've watched these children be raised. I'm going to start in reverse order, because Wes, I've already told you where your talent comes from. But Wes is a good boy. Not a good boy, he's a good man now. We've watched him grow up. He's married to a wonderful girl. He has a wonderful son. And nothing makes Chip happier than to hear his son say D. Nothing makes him happier. And Austin, I need to say this about Austin. She kept my daughter after school for 3 years. I don't know how much keeping it was, but they did. They stayed together every afternoon. And they are now what I call joined at the hip. Neither of them has a sister, but I believe they're as close as sisters could be. My question about Austin and my daughter is this: how could two little girls, as pretty, sweet, smart, cherubic, and genuinely kind, have such a twinkle of mischief in your eyes? I never knew what was going to happen when I got home in the afternoon. One night I got home and there was a bunny rabbit running around on the floor in my house. The next night there were 2 bunny rabbits running around. But I was assured not to worry because they were both female bunny rabbits. And 28 days later I was raising a rabbit farm. They always operated under the theory, the less I know, the better off I am. At any rate, my daughter is now her daughter's godmother, and we love the Heights. The Heights have been good friends to us for over 3 decades. We've traveled together, we've eaten together, we've gone to the beach together for 25 years to watch the Atlantic Coast Conference basketball tournament. We've cried together, we've laughed together. We've been loyal friends, steadfast friends, and helpful when the chips are down. They've been right there when we needed them, and I hope they feel the same way about us. Which finally brings me to Judge Height. When Judge Height assumed his robe in the Superior Court a little over 34 years ago, he practiced law about 10 years. But he dove right in and began working like a judge should. He was always ready to be there at court early, and he was always ready to go because he had read the pleadings. He understood what the case was about. He would do research on the law so that when legal arguments arose, he was aware of what criteria was required and what the elements were required to be presented to make a successful presentation of the case. He's always been willing to work, to talk to lawyers in conference if he thought that would help resolve an issue. He was always in control of court. He was always pragmatic and practical, but you knew who was in charge. His criminal sentences could sometimes be higher than other judges. He actually earned the title of maximum height. But he was always there and had a good reason for his judgments. His judgments were never personal. They were always based on the law. He always did what was right without waver. He was always respectful. He once told me this story, or not me, but everybody in the courtroom, this story around the first time that he held court here. He said that when the sheriff opens court and he says, "All rise," you don't rise for him. You rise for your respect for the law. That you rise because of the flag of your country, the flag of your state, and the fact that we have an independent judiciary that is fair and even-handed to everybody. That's what all rise means in a courtroom. He's always been a gentleman. He's always been mindful to help lawyers within the 9th Judicial District, remembering where he and they came from. And he's been patient and understanding. And he's always been fair. Now, all the judges in the 9th Judicial District are 20 to 25 years younger than you and me. How in the hell did that happen? But a lot of lawyers at our age lament what good lawyering used to be, and that sometimes the profession of the law has gone from a profession to a business. We've seen a lot of changes. But I will say this, we're proud to be lawyers, and we're proud to be lawyers because of our respect for the law. And that quote was this, that in looking back over the creation of the United States and the creation of the ultimate law in the United States, our Constitution, Justice Marshall said of the founders, no tribute could ever be paid to them that would exceed their merit. The same could be said of Chip Hite. No tribute could ever be paid to him that would exceed his merit. Judge Hite, you fulfilled your oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the state of North Carolina. You fulfilled your oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. You serve faithfully. You have the respect of everybody here. You serve with dignity. I'm proud that you and I have been friends for 65 years. I'm proud that you've been my Superior Court judge for 34 years. I'm proud that you have been our Superior Court judge for 34 years. You're deserving of this day, and we appreciate your service.
May it please the Court. Judge, I didn't really want to have anything like this. I thought it would be too much like a funeral with me as the corpse. I just wanted to turn out the lights, lock the door, and walk away. But my wife Barbara got together with Ella, and here we are. Thank all of you for being here. You make me happy. I'm now supposed to make remarks. I'm aware that like a corpse at a funeral, I have to be here, and you don't want me to say a whole lot. When I first became the Superior Court judge, the Administrative Office of the Courts had an informal rule that a new judge should not hold court within 100 miles of their home for the first 6 months. So for my first 6 months, I'd get up early on Monday mornings, kiss my pregnant wife goodbye, kiss my 2-year-old daughter goodbye, drive at least 100 miles to court to return home on Friday. I did get a week off when my son West was born. About 2 months after West was born, I told Barbara that West just seemed to be a much easier baby than Austin. She set me straight right away. I've regretted saying that ever since. I want to thank Barbara for what she did. She gave me the freedom to do the job that I loved. She was the rock at our house and had the largest part in raising 2 great kids. And those great kids turned out to be great parents. She is my life, my love. Thank you. Superior Court judge is a solitary job, but I was never alone. As a new Superior Court judge, I quickly learned that it was because of the work that everyone else did that I was able to do my job. I've been privileged to work with the greatest group of dedicated people, I think, in the world. To all of the trial court administrators, clerks of court, court reporters, district attorneys, lawyers, and others who put up with me over the years, I thank you, and I will miss you. You're special. I'm especially grateful for my sister and brother judges who are here. Thank you for being here. You are my heroes. I treasure your friendship and who you are. Each of the judges who spoke here today are from a district in the 3rd Division, where I regularly rotated. In the 3rd Division, we expected a lot of each other, but always had each other's back. Thank all of you for your words. Thank you, Bob Hopgood, for presiding. We were running mates for over 30 years and 4 elections. They turned out pretty good. Bob and I were in the same law school class at Carolina. Before Bob and I got to law school, we knew of each other, but were not friends, especially friends. Our fathers were friends and political allies. Bob's father was our Superior Court judge, and my dad was clerk of court. Bob came to law school from the United States Army in South Korea. I came to law school from Clarence's on Franklin Street. One night, as I was studying in the law library, Bob came over to me and said, "Dad just ruled that the Orange County topless ordinance is unconstitutional. To celebrate, the Abraxas topless bar is letting law students in free with their ID cards. Let's go." Bob and I have been friends ever since. To my friends and extended family, thanks for being here. A special thanks to Ellen, Janet, Peg, Lydia, Beth, and Bonnie. Henderson Haynes. To Bud Aldrich, thank you for your friendship. To Ella, who made sure that the trains run on time, you're all the best. To my biggest fan, my sister Jane, I love you. For most of my 34 years on the bench, it was not unusual for people to ask me how I liked being a judge. I would tell them that it was inside work, no heavy lifting. I liked it a lot. Well, with all the election stuff going on for the past 8 months, a lot of people assumed that I was retired. It wasn't unusual for people to ask me how I liked being retired. Rather than explain I wouldn't retire until December the 31st, I just said, so far it hadn't been much of an adjustment. Now the adjustment begins. God blessed me, put purpose in my life, and allowed me 34 years as a Superior Court judge. I thank God for all that I have and the people in my life. As I leave this part of my life, I pray that God is not done with me yet. Each of you has blessed me by being here. May God bless you and your families. Thank you.
Remain standing, please. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. This honorable court for the county bench stands adjourned. God save the state and this honorable court. Asadi Da. You're dismissed.
Gotta love these folks.
Chip, this one's for you. 1, 2, 3. The year was 1984. Chip became a judge and went out that door. He was a fright. He was a fright. He was a fright, that maximum height. 100 miles here, 100 miles there. It was a little bit more than Bass could bear. As Abel went down for his final rest, the moral of this is do your best. Let's raise a glass on this special day to our birthday boy and our beloved Maximum Height. Here's to the judge. Court's out of session, and here's to the judge. And I would like to add, he was a cool judge. Cool judge. He didn't hold a grudge. He didn't hold a grudge. He was a cool judge. He was a cool judge. He didn't hold a grudge. He was a cool judge. Happy birthday, we love you.
See the temptation.
All right, what's gonna happen next time?
I don't know, I've said all I can say.
We're gonna do this at your funeral. Every morning at the school, you could see her arrive. She stood 5'4", weighed 345. Kind of broad at the shoulders and broader at the hips, and everybody knew you didn't give no lip to Big Paterba. Big Paterba, Big Paterba, Big Bad Paterba.